I remember the night that I earned tenure. It should have been a night of celebration, but instead it was one of dread. I remember being really flippin' annoyed that I had to get dressed up, that I had to find a sitter, and I definitely didn't want to sit through a formal banquet and pretend to be excited. Y'all, I was exhausted. I was burnout from chasing achievement after achievement after achievement and wondering, why am I even doing this anymore? And you all, at home, I felt like a ghost in my own life. I play with my kids, but I wasn't fully in it. It was almost like I was like outside of my life looking in. And I remember just thinking, well, maybe the next stage will be easier. Maybe the next stage will be easier. And then something shifted. And y'all, I didn't overhaul my life, at least not all at once. I didn't quit my job or move across the country. I started five, five small rituals. And they really reconnected me to the life that I already had. So now I start my mornings with purpose. My work days actually end. I feel connected to my partner and I show up for my kids, not just in body, but in spirit. In this episode, I'm going to share the exact five rituals that help me go from numb to really, truly, truly, y'all, happy. Want to know what those five rituals are? Let's do this. Hi, y'all. I'm Danielle McGue. I'm a professor, a mom, and a covering overachiever. For the last 20 years, I've been studying how people navigate change using research, ritual, and intentional action. And so today I'm excited to share with you some small changes that made a really big impact in my life. And before we jump into that, I do want to talk a little bit about this concept of ritual and why a ritual instead of a routine is really, really important. So I first came across ritual from an anthropologist named Victor Turner. And in his work, he was really interested in what he would call symbolic performance and how it helped transform both social environments and individual consciousness. So anytime that we have big changes in our lives, we typically mark them with rituals. So if someone dies, we have grieving rituals. If a baby is born, we have rituals to welcome them into the world. And what you can do is you can very intentionally create rituals that will help you anytime that you are in a state of transition. This can even be throughout your day and how you transition throughout the day. So really quickly, I'll go into this. If you're interested in this, I do teach my Plan Go Plan method in Plan Go Plan Your Year. It's offered as a retreat and a course. So if that's something that you're interested in, you'll get that and a whole lot of other stuff. So rituals oftentimes include a clear opening and a clear closing. They also usually involve something that activates our senses, something that invites presence, and they really truly are designed to move us from one state to another. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so adamant that what we do is actually create ritual, not routine, because a ritual really is a routine with soul. It is a routine that has meaning and purpose behind it, and it's designed to invite presence rather than to put you on autopilot. And while I think that habits and routine absolutely have their place in a world where many of us are feeling like we've just been mindlessly moving through things, creating tools that are actually designed to invite presence and move us from one state to another is so wildly important. So enough about ritual, what it is. You got the basics. Let's jump into the five rituals that I started out with and the five that I think might make the biggest impact in your life. So the very first one, and I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by this, is the morning ritual. How you start your morning is how you show up for your life. So after tenure, I realized that I was waking up incredibly reactive. So one, I'll just let you all know, when I wake up in the morning, my heart is usually racing. It's an incredibly anxious time for me. And if I start my day by checking my phone, scanning my emails, I will start my day feeling behind. And so now I have a very quick morning ritual that grounds me. I can make it longer and more expansive if I need to, but I can really start out with just a 10 to 15 minute practice. And usually in this practice, I do some of my own faith practice. Then I move into journaling. And that journaling is really also connected to my planning and goal setting practice. So as I'm journaling, I'm thinking about things like, how do I want to feel today? What's one thing that I need to do? What can wait? You know, I have questions that I ask myself that by taking the pause and thinking through those questions, that shift alone could make my entire day feel more intentional, more grounded, more calm. One thing that I really want to point out here is that right now there's all this crazy, wild, intricate morning routine stuff out there. And there's so much good stuff in those. But when you think about your own morning ritual, I just want you to think about, how do you want to show up? How do you want to show up? And is your ritual moving you towards that state? So if taking an ice bath doesn't put you in a state that you are desiring, then it doesn't need to be a part of your morning ritual. If exercising, if going for a jog or lifting weights isn't the thing that really sets the tone for your day, then maybe you need to find a different time of the day to integrate your exercise or movement practice. This is about you being thoughtful about, how do you want to start your day? How do you want to show up? And when you can name that, and when you can create a ritual that shifts you, moves you, guides you to that state, then you're going to feel more aligned. But if you're just following someone else's morning routine and checking and checking and checking off boxes and it's not working, it's because it's not aligned with you. You're trying on someone else's routine. Now, I'll say I got my mornings down and this made a huge difference. It is one of my keystone practices. If I am feeling off, this is one that I come back to again and again and again. But when I started doing this and I was noticing a lot of big changes, one thing that kept happening though is that around late afternoon, so between like 3 and 5, whenever I was ending my workday, picking up the kids from daycare or school, depending on, what year we're in here. When I was doing that, I was noticing that chaos was starting to creep in at the end of the day. And what I learned is that your brain does not know that the workday is over until you tell it. So I used to just kind of shut down my laptop. I would take off, pick up my kids. I'd move into dinner mode. But mentally, I was still mid-meeting. I was still thinking about all of the tasks that I didn't get done. I was thinking about the tasks that I did get done and how I wish I could have done some of them better. I was replaying a conversation that I had with a colleague and what I wish I would have said differently, or maybe how I didn't support a student in the way that I really wanted to. And it was really keeping me from being the present partner and parent that I wanted to be. You can't really transition from worker to parent, partner, or person unless you pause. And so what I did is I created a really simple end of the workday ritual. I actually learned this from Michael Hyatt. I think he covers it in his Free to Focus book. And this made a huge difference. I will say it was a really hard ritual to make a consistent practice with, because there are so many things that could distract me from actually making the pause. So it was one of the rituals that I found the most difficult to put into place. But when I did it, when I had a clear way of turning off work brain so that I could go home, feel calm and grounded, bring that energy back into my home, it made a huge difference. For me, it was a really simple thing. I actually shut down my laptop. I closed it. I would write down a few things that I wanted to make sure I started with the next day. And then I would take a deep breath and I would walk to my car and listen to a podcast. That is how I tried to shift from work brain to being able to be present at home. These two things alone, I think, could really change your life. But I think that life is even better with bookends. So I created a ritual that would help me at night. And this was my evening ritual. I really believe that peace doesn't just show up, that you have to make space for it. And so many people have a practice of scrolling until they pass out. Or, when my husband and I first got married, we would watch TV until we fell asleep. That's so wild to me now, because I actually don't watch TV. It's just not something that I do. I realized the more and more that I got really intentional about my time, that wasn't really a way that I wanted to spend my time. So I don't. I really don't miss it other than sometimes I don't have things to talk to other people about. But now I turn off all my screens by 9 p.m. I only look at my Kindle after 9 p.m. Probably my favorite part of my evening ritual is to make sure that I offer up gratitude. And our family does a gratitude practice together before we go to sleep at night. And I love that this is like a signal that says our day's over, it's safe to rest, life is good. We have so much to be grateful for. And so it just gives my nervous system some closure for the day. And this has helped me so, so much. So the last couple rituals that I want to talk you through are a little bit different because it's not just me. So those first three rituals that I talked about, other than part of my evening ritual where we do a family gratitude, are really solo rituals. There's things that I do on my own. But these last two really involve other people. And the first one I want to talk to you about is my marriage check-in ritual. So when we had kids, it threw our marriage for a loop. Y'all, we had been married for about 10 years before we had our kiddos. And I remember people being like, oh, you have to really work for your relationship, and relationships are hard, and da 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 da. And I remember being like, who are these people? Like, this is easy peasy. Like, Ryan is my best friend. There are so many things in my life that are hard, but my relationship wasn't one of them. And then we had kids, and life taught me that lesson. And it took so much intentionality to say, our marriage matters, and we're going to make sure that we are moving along together. And what I really love about our different marriage check-in rituals are that they all give us a chance to talk in a really deep level. You know, when you first start dating, you and your partner, you talk about all of your dreams and your wishes and what you want in life, and you have some of those really big conversations. And after you've been married for a while, and then when you have kiddos, it can start to be really just instructional, right? So you check in with each other. Well, what time are you going to be home from work? Who's picking up the kids? Like, you're just like kind of passing some information to make life go along. And so what I really like about my marriage check-in ritual is that it's a place for real talk. It's about us, asking ourselves, like, how connected do we feel? Like, what's working in our lives, in our marriage, in our family, and what's not. And, it became a space that helped us become a lot more patient with each other, but also held space for each other's dreams. So we have like a weekly, we call it mini date, where we just kind of check in with each other on Friday afternoons, usually right before we go pick up the kids from school. But the marriage ritual that I really wanted to share with you all today is that once, maybe even twice a year, we do goal setting together. I don't want to just know what my goals are. I want to know what my husband's goals are so that I can support him in that. And we have really paired this usually with our holiday shopping. So we do a little bit of holiday shopping. And when we get dinner during that time, we just ask each other questions. We check in with each other. We've done this for several years in a row now. I have two puppies now because of our conversation at this past year check-in ritual. So we have these like mini weekly check-ins, but then having 2 times of the year where we have even more time together and we can walk through our own dreams and hopes for our family and for ourselves. And then to hold space for each other is so important. And finally, I wanted to end, I think that we can think about rituals as being so incredibly serious that we forget that rituals can also be these things that are just full of joy and delight and excitement. I believe that joy can happen by accident, but often it happens by design. So one of my favorite ways to design joy in our family is to create seasonal bucket lists. It doesn't have to be anything wild, but we just ask our kids, hey, what are some things that you want to do during the winter? What are some things that you want to do this spring? What are some things that you want to do this summer? And we make a little mini bucket list as a family. So it might be going to a new park or trying a new recipe or going around the lazy river 93 times. It's super playful, but it's powerful and it keeps things really light. It's so fun to get to hear what your kids really want to do and what they think is fun. and what they desire that you all do together as a family. And this is also a really wonderful thing because anytime somebody's like, I'm bored, which actually my kids don't say very often, we don't really let them have that kind of talk in our house. We teach them to find ways to constantly be curious. But, we can pull out our bucket list and say, hey, is there something that we could do on the bucket list that wouldn't be too hard for us to do right now? So rituals aren't just for grounding, they're for delighting too. And together, these 5 rituals really did help me build a life that I don't need a vacation from. And they did that one small act at a time. So I want to kind of bring this in. I want to make it so clear that if you find yourself feeling empty, flat, drained, like I did, like I found myself when I'd first earned tenure and moved into motherhood, I want to iterate that you may not need a new job or a silent retreat or a complete life reset. You might just need one ritual, one small, consistent act that could bring you back to yourself. It's not too late. You're not behind. You can start tomorrow morning or tonight or heck, right now. Let's go. Right? These 5 rituals changed everything for me. And it didn't change everything all at once, but it was steady. And it quite frankly happened a lot faster than I ever would have expected. And I know that if they did it for me, that they absolutely can do it for you. If you want to go deeper, like I said, I created the Plan Go Plan Your Year ritual and course. I'll put the link below. Reach out to me. Find me on LinkedIn. Start a conversation with me about your rituals and how they're showing up in your life. I'd love, love, love to hear from you. Until next time, be bold, be balanced, and be well, friends.